Pastor Enoch Adeboye has urged President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to move swiftly to diplomatically to persuade U.S. President Donald Trump to delay any action against Nigeria for at least 100 days. Speaking at the November Holy Ghost service at the Redemption City in Ogun State over the weekend, Adeboye warned that the situation requires wisdom and speed rather than confrontation. The pastor advised President Tinubu to find a way to convince Trump to delay actions, then return home and give security chiefs a 90-day ultimatum to eliminate terrorists or resign. Adeboye warned that no foreign power, not China nor Russia, would intervene to defend Nigeria if military conflict erupted, calling for immediate exposure of terrorism sponsors and stronger accountability within security forces. Now, Ayo, this Pastor Adeboye's counsel, reflects the gravity of Nigeria's predicament at the moment, caught between Trump's threats and our own persistent insecurity crisis. Meanwhile, U.S. President Donald Trump over the weekend announced that America will boycott the G20 summit scheduled to hold in Johannesburg, South Africa, later this month, citing claims of white persecution in the country. Trump described it as a total disgrace that South Africa is hosting the meeting of leaders from the world's largest economies, alleging that Afrikaners are being killed and their farms illegally confiscated. The claims of white genocide in South Africa have been dismissed by political parties in the country, including those representing Afrikaners and other white communities. A South African court in February ruled the allegations as clearly imagined, while the government described them as widely discredited and unsupported by reliable evidence. South Africa's foreign ministry expressed regret over the White House decision, stating that Trump is orchestrating an imagined crisis using the painful history of South Africa's colonial past, insisting that crime affects all South Africans, regardless of race. Well, Trump's genocide claims of white South Africans and the government's denial mirrors this claims or his claims of Christian genocide in Nigeria that Nigerian authorities have disputed, pointing instead to complex ethno-religious conflicts affecting both Christians and Muslims. I'd like your thoughts before I go to this story, Ayo, and also would like your thoughts as well on this particular story. But I don't want our viewers to lose the conversation with Pastor Adeboye advising President Tinubu to, have Trump to hold off, and so that, he can talk with the military chiefs, and also the fact that, the U.S. president at this moment has boycotted that U.S. the SA summit, G20 summit in South Africa.
He even challenges South Africa being a member of the G20. But let me put that so that we don't lose, like you said. Yes. I think it's important because there are a number of voices now speaking and now even trying to make it a Christian versus Muslim fight, whereby we're now losing the essence of what the issue is, which is that there is insecurity. There are Christians being killed in some parts of the country. Freedom of religion, despite it being guaranteed by the Constitution, is not implemented or enforced in certain parts of the country. Now, Pastor Adeboye speaking up on Friday, I watched his speech. Some people might consider it as long overdue because people have been calling for Christian leaders in Nigeria to speak up and share their own reality. I say this because many of these churches have their branches or by nature of their influence understand what's going on in these parts. They have reports from some of their pastors who have been killed and members who have been attacked or churches that have been burnt. Yes. So they understand the real issues that are going on. But I think his statement then put to rest why people had been asking, because he said that in the background, he had been engaging with not just this current president, but previous presidents in trying to find a way to solve the problem of Christians being killed and generally the insecurity in the nation. Adding to his voice, we have the PFN president, Bishop Wale Oke, who stated emphatically that there is genocide against Christians. He has spoken concerning his constituents. Pastor Paul Enenche has been very consistent in calling out for this. We have pastors across. Bishop David Oyedepo is very vocal as well about it. So what I'm saying is that the people who are affected, the main stakeholders, have come out to now say that this is really happening, solve the problem. I do think that Pastor Adeboye's advice to the president is in good stead. To ask for some time from the president through diplomatic conversation. And that's why we've maintained on this table that please let us open diplomatic channels. And like Dr. Bati had mentioned, if we have to bring in experienced diplomats to the mix, let's do so. And let us ask for more time. If we're saying that we can solve the problem, give marching orders to these new service chiefs to fix the problem in 90 days. We know that Nigeria can fix the problem. We know that they know the people that are behind these terrorists, those who are funding the terrorists. They know. They know who they are.
Well,
do they have the political will to actually go after them? Trump can be the catalyst to finally solving this injustice that has been meted out on not just Christians, but Nigerians as a whole across different parts. Can we finally have peace in the nation?
Well said, Ayo. Well said. Well, speaking about pastors who actually have experience, in the same vein, journalist Ireti Bakare Yusuf anchored a special edition of Borderlines examining the contentious issues of insecurity, allegations of Christian genocide in Nigeria, and the Trump administration's threat to the Nigerian state. The program featured security consultant Dr. Kabiru Adamu, who provided data-driven analysis presenting statistics on terrorist killings in Nigeria, broken down by religious affiliation, offering empirical context to claims and counterclaims about the nature of violence in the country. The program also featured testimony from Reverend Joseph John Hayab, chairman of the Christian Association of Nigeria, Kaduna State Chapter. Reverend Hayab shared harrowing personal testimony, revealing he had buried almost 2,000 people in Kaduna in the past, with over 300 more deaths following the 2002 miscalled riots. He expressed frustration on how attacks on Christians, including burned churches, killed pastors, and wiped out families, are routinely dismissed as mere communal clashes rather than targeted religious violence. Let's take a look.
I'm speaking as the pastor who buried the almost 2,000 people in 2000 in Kaduna. Quote me, my name is Reverend Hayab. I'm speaking as the pastor who also did the mass burial of the over 300 people of the Miss World Beauty pageant on the 23rd of November 2002. I'm also the pastor who came out publicly to denounce the Danish cartoon in 2006, but it later leads to the death of Christians in Maiduguri and death of Christians in Bauchi. So I have been around and I think I know this story. Listening, we are coiling it into the politics of America as if we are not in Nigeria. Sincerely speaking, there has been killings of Christians in northern Nigeria before even the advent of Boko Haram. I was in Kano. I just left Kano with 1 week, and the killing of the visit of Yabonke happened. People were caught. You know, it's a different thing that you are shot to death. It's something else that you are caught to pieces, caught by the neck, caught hacked to death. I saw these cops. I had to run back. My pastor asked me, "Why did you come back?" I said, "No, I just left for Kaduna 1 week, and then I heard what happened to my people in places in Kano. I just came back." I was the pastor who first came out to condemn the Danish cartoon because I knew what was going to follow. But despite that effort, Christians were killed in Maiduguri. In Maiduguri in 2009, when Boko Haram started, they were never attacking Muslims. They actually went for the church because they said we are infidel.
Vimbai, this was quite explosive, but let's take a look at the summary of attacks on places of worship as presented by Dr. Kabiru Adamu over the period of 2021 to 2025. He drew up this chart. It says churches, a total of 121 incidents targeted churches, resulting in 389 abductions and 110 killings. The years 2021, 23 incidents occurred. 137 people were abducted. In 2022, 33 incidents occurred. 74 people abducted and 47 people killed. I mean, this appeared to be, the peak years of this specific type of attack. Now, for mosques, Vimbai, are you watching? Over the same period, a total of 75 incidents targeted mosques, resulting in about 263 abductions and then 142 killings. Notably, mosques attacks recorded more fatalities. It showed a total of 142 versus 110. despite having fewer incidents and fewer abductions. Also 263 versus 389 overall. I mean, the year 2025, he says, saw the highest number of killings in mosques, a rise to 51 from 10 incidents. So the insecurity is speaking, as you see in that graph. Well, this critical conversation highlights the complexity of Nigeria's security challenges, where legitimate concerns about religious violence intersects with geopolitical narratives and domestic politics. Reverend Hayab's testimony of burying thousands cannot be dismissed. Yet, Dr. Adamu's statistics reminds us that terrorism affects Nigerians across faiths, while as Trump threatens Nigeria over genocide claims, the question remains, are we addressing security with facts or solutions, or allowing foreign powers to weaponize our tragedies for their own political agendas? And these are the sort of questions that are out there. And I think that this is what the federal government needs to study. These are people that are speaking. We have security experts. We have pastors, we have priests that are willing to give account. I remember that we hosted the Arewa community here, and one of the statements that I took dear to my heart was, why was it that the federal government left this whole insecurity issue until Trump wrote that tweet, instead of, conducting or setting up a judicial panel of inquiry to have all these actors come and we investigate and tackle the problem, which is what I think should happen now, as Pastor Adeboye has also suggested. Your thoughts?
Gosh, there's so many things that come to mind with this, OG. I think number one is data. Data, and data. I have to continue to emphasize that, because we see independent people coming with, with various elements of their data, with their own research, which is important. However, this is where we now see the vacuum that has been created by the fact that we're missing data. We're missing official, verified data. Now, again, I think I want to echo what my colleagues have already said. Ayo and Rufai have already said. Let's be careful about breaking this down into, Christian and Muslim and so forth. And let's come together now and focus on the issue at hand. The issue at hand for me, OG, I think is the insecurity, number one, and number two, it being weaponized by foreign powers. Now, I love that you brought South Africa, because let's bring that into context. Over the past 24 hours, the group that went to report white genocide, that's AfriForum, that went to report that to Donald Trump, have actually backpedaled. And they've come back and said that, oh no, they never said there was a genocide and they're sorry. Now, this is an important thing to note, because in the South African context, there isn't this data that we're seeing concerning Nigeria. It doesn't exist in South Africa because the genocide genuinely doesn't exist. There's no evidence of it whatsoever. However, we already see what a false allegation has done. G20, you don't have the United States coming. In terms of tariffs, economic warfare, it's gotten worse with the United States. So the relations between the two countries have become so frosty, and it's impacting the average South African now, because jobs are being lost, because American investment and American business that used to engage in that country is no longer engaging. Right. So why do I say this? I say this because it still brings us back home, that even if we are to seek alliances and assistance, the root foundational issues are here at home, and only we can address them. They can come, they can advise, they can do all of those things, but ultimately the core issues here are that there is insecurity, but also that there's a lot of national healing that needs to happen between various groups and various ethnicities, whether it be by religious divide or whether it be by ethnic divide. There is national healing that needs to happen, so that this mutual animosity that exists between groups can start to be tempered down.
Well said, Vimbai. Thank you for your submission. And, while you were speaking, Rufai shared this story, which I already have as well, about, the villages that were attacked even over the weekend. Last week as well, there were villages attacked in Benue State. The details, the gory visuals are just heartbreaking. They say several villages are feared, villagers are feared dead, while many others remain missing following a suspected herdsman attack in Anuwule community in Ogwelu Ohimini local government area of Benue State. So we're calling on the security forces in Benue State to actually help us out with this reporting, because obviously we have our reporters on ground who would like to also share this sort of information with our security forces if they have apprehended the people that are behind this dastardly attack. Well, meanwhile, may their souls rest in peace. Meanwhile, armed bandits in Katsina State have made stunning allegations claiming the Nigerian government orchestrated their criminal activities only now decided to call for peace during a peace meeting between Batagwawa and Karachinchi communities held on Saturday. One of the bandits declared they have stopped attacks following government intervention. The bandit spokesperson stated in a now viral video, and I quote, "It was the government that wanted us to engage in banditry, but now it has called us and told us to stop." He alleged that despite 2 months of attempts to initiate peace talks, authorities only located them when they genuinely decided to engage. The armed group insisted that peaceful coexistence depends entirely on Nigerian leaders, stating, "If you want to cry, don't cry with us, the terrorists, but cry with your government, for they are the ones who made us do what we have been doing." I mean, this is really, really alarming, Rufai. The allegations raise serious questions about the relationship between criminal networks and state actors, echoing long-standing suspicions about complicity in Nigeria's worsening insecurity. Rufai, your thoughts, and also I'd like your thoughts on the two stories as well, just to put them all together before we take this one.
Real quickly. See, Oji, in a country where bandits can pick up a mic and say this in a public space, when did they say this? What has been the reaction of the government to it? You see, that's why I said a lot of the problems our government can solve if we are ready. And this attempt to make it be about Christians and Muslims is never true. United. Our adversaries are those that are using insecurity to hurt all of us. Let's not fall to their propaganda. Christians, Muslims, can't you see they've started again? They've started using our heads to knock each other. Christians, Muslims, can't you see that they are not talking about the killings of all of us as Nigerians? They are talking about us against each other. Christians, Muslims, we need to be united. Just like we all prayed together and we stood united during EndSARS. We serve one God, the living God. Do not allow these actors to pit Christians against Muslims. Our adversary is the insecurity. I'm happy that Reverend Ayab is speaking up against this. So, during the data, although because I've not seen the primary data that Beacon Security had, but doesn't this data even justify the allegations of genocide? Mm-hmm. Genocide, when you go back to Lepkin's definition of genocide, it talks about intent to clear out the cultural antecedents, physical assault and brutality. Mm-hmm. Over 100 churches. Doesn't it talk about it? And so when government was saying 81% reduction, but Beacon Security is saying there's been an increase. What Terrorism Index is saying, Nigeria is now number 6 from the position of number 8 it was in 2023. Isn't it time for us to look inward? So government, this is at your doorstep. Terror bandits are now saying that you are the ones using them. And we've also seen allegations against government officials. Mm-hmm. We've also seen government officials do photo op with bandits. Right. We've also had government officials being mentioned. Right. Government, if you love this country, release the list of the terrorist financiers that was released in Dubai. All right. And let justice and the killing end.
All right. Well, before I come to you, meanwhile, U.S. Congressman Riley Moore of West Virginia, who has been one of the leading voices in the American government's allegations of a Christian genocide, appeared on Fox News telling the public not to test President Trump's resolve on the issue. Moore stated that Trump is very serious about the issue and that Nigeria should instead use this moment as an opportunity to build a stronger relationship with the United States. Let's take a look.
I've said this multiple times. Do not test this president's resolve. He is very serious about this. And I do want to highlight something that I've been saying constantly here, that this is actually an opportunity for the Nigerians to strengthen and deepen their relationship with the United States, where we could actually do some enhanced partnership capacity building with them to counter this terrorist threat that they have just spreading across their country. So I'm asking Nigeria, do the right thing here. Partner with the United States, help us protect the Christians in your country, and we will help you. This doesn't have to be all sticks. It can also be carrots here. Or we do have these kinetic military options on the table, which the president has made very clear he will consider.
This is the point, Ayo. Well, Moore's comments in this interview appear to reflect a change in tone from the more aggressive rhetoric the public initially heard from President Trump and his threats to go into Nigeria guns a-blazing. The congressman has suggested that cooperation might be possible for both countries to strengthen their relationship with one another. And this is what I have been preaching on this table. Ayo, a quick sum up, and then we'll take our mouths.
All right, so the video with the bandits just justifies what I said earlier about the government knowing who these terrorist financiers are. They know who the people who are behind them, and they can go after them if they have the political will. Now, this is where the U.S. comes. Yes, we can argue about whether or not the U.S. has Nigeria's best interest at heart, but when that tweet or that ex-post by Donald Trump has changed the trajectory of things for Nigeria. We're at least now talking about insecurity. It's now on the front burner more than it's ever been, at least in recent times. And so for that reason alone, I am happy for that ex-post. Now, going back to the advice by Pastor Adeboye saying that let's diplomatically have conversations with the United States and show with evidence that we can handle this issue. But can we have partnership in terms of support? The best way that America can help Nigerian Christians or Nigeria as a whole to tackle insecurity is to work with the government, because whether or not America cannot situate its boots on ground forever, they will have to go back. So can they empower or work in synergy? So from intelligence, what they're saying is that let us be aware of the date you're coming, if you're coming, when you're coming at all. Work with the Nigerian security apparatus, because at the end of the day, whatever is left in terms of mopping up the rest of what they've done, it's the Nigerian army that will do that. And so the Nigerian army has to be empowered, equipped in collaboration with the United States to ensure that we tackle insecurity. We have the solution. Let's work in hand with another power that has even better capacity to handle this issue.
I mean, the government has shown, the Nigerian government has shown that they have a listening ear, right? I mean, I know that they are listening at this point. What we need is a collaboration, and I will keep emphasizing that.
All right, guys. So it's heartbreaking and shameful how some of our Christian brothers and leaders of churches, leaders of huge congregations in Nigeria would come out on the social media to come and say that there is no genocide of Christians in Nigeria. After almost every Nigerian knows what we've been going through and what a Christian religion is going through in Nigeria, right? Even though we have some politicians that in one way or the other, they've come out to come and say that these things are not really true. All right, I don't know why they're doing that, but I think those are some parts of their political games. All right, and they feel that, doing that will actually hold back Trump's decision. But I tell you, if we are going to be playing on anyone's intelligence, I don't think we are going to be successful with dealing with Trump when it comes to matters of this kind, because these persons have some high intelligent officers that are able or have their ways into anything they want to know. As a matter of fact, they already know and have the data of individuals responsible for all the unaliving of Christians and genocidal killing that is going on in Nigeria. And also the sponsors, like Adeboye, the head pastor of the Redeemed Christian Church of God, said that if you're going to be getting rid of the terrorists, you also get rid of the sponsors so that they wouldn't go back and start recruiting of another group of terrorists. All right. So, but then, what will you do if you find yourself in a country where most of these laws are not being implemented? As a matter of fact, the opinion of the person of the Redeemed Christian Church of God, the head pastor of the Redeemed Christian Church of God, would have been the best opinion ever. All right, that the government is supposed to have, looked upon and then take action immediately based on this particular issue of concern in Nigeria.